Good evening to all. We are in the regional roundtable CIS chapter. So we have 45 minutes and we will discuss about the PPP development in the region. So luckily, the region CIS region is one of the promising region PPP, in terms of PPP development in Uzbekistan, in Kazakhstan, in Azerbaijan, in Belarus, in Ukraine. We have tested many good progress. And thanks COVID, so we had time to launch our PPP pipeline and projects. So I know there are very good opportunities in our regional countries. So today we will discuss about the PPPs, what we can do, what we did so far. So we will discuss how we can cooperate, how we can jump up for the next level of PPP in our region. So I don't want to lose time, and I will give the introduction session to you. And this is Dr. AYDIN. I am the head of regional chapter, CIS chapter, and I am the chairman of PPP Center of Excellence. So we will start with Belarus from the north side of Istanbul. I'm based in Istanbul. So now I'm handling the floors to you, Mr. Igor.
I would like to say good afternoon, dear participants of the roundtable. On behalf of the National Agency of Investments for the opportunity to participate in such high-level events, I would like to express confidence that everyone here will meet real enthusiastic people. PPP2 is complex, having numerous as it's the effective one. At today's of PPP development in our country, in the Republic of Belarus, our way for PPP formation. Therefore, the experience of our colleagues from other countries, experts of international organization, is really helpful for us. At the moment, the investment climate and PPP law was adopted in 2015. More in the current year, 2021, we private initiatives introduce mechanisms for direct negotiations, reduce the taxation mechanism when allocating land for PPP projects. To improve our legislation, it's the first step. Will have a positive impact on the segment of PPP project and especially for the target. The second one is that the Ministry of developed national infrastructure strategy, and it's already done its framework, a draft of national infrastructure plan.
Mr. Igor, Mr. Igor, can you hear me? I think there's a problem in the connection, Mr. Igor. Mehman Bey, can you hear Mr. Igor?
I can hear now, but when the Igor was speaking, I hear him.
Okay.
Disruption in the voice.
Mr. Azat, can you hear Mr. Igor? I think you are mute. Can you unmute yourself?
Okay, let me check. Maybe without video, it will be better to hear.
Exactly. Without video, without can you start your speech, Mr. Igor?
Okay.
It's better.
Points I would like to underline for the processes in PPP in Belarus. Okay. Now it's better.
Very good, Mr. Igor. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so we are working at the process how to improve the investment climate in Belarus. So our law for and we have already updated it several times. Yeah, for 2021 to make another changes to the PPP law, and these changes stimulate private initiatives to reduce competition procedures and to further improve the taxation mechanism. These are important points in Belarus, and of course we should decide them by putting new rules by the legislation. With the help of Ministry of Economy, we are strategy. It will be a real plan until 2030, and within it we will divide it into a few steps. The first step will be national strategic document that will include over 1,000 infrastructure sectors. So this document will needs of the state and will serve a certain measure ready for implementation, or at least for those projects that are at pre-feasibility stage. From the point of view of, as I mentioned before, we are just at the beginning of the long, long way, but will require additional improvement. Some large-scale project and implemented. And we provide these conditions as a part of adoption of separate legislative decisions made by presidents. So we have another mechanism how to help big projects to be. Of course, we should do it within the common PPP law, but as it's not perfect at the moment, we have another. Such project I could mention quotas for the fixing traffic violations and the like. Again, these projects correspond to general PPP approaches, but in Belarus they were implemented not within the PPP law. So as classic PPP understanding, we are currently projects, and the biggest one, large pilot project, it's a reconstruction of section of M10 highway with the length of around 100 kilometers. Total cost of more than 450 million. We are at the period that we are about to choose the winner for this contract, and it will be the first. We're expecting this year to and another project that we have notes a lot of projects, as I told, but some of them road infrastructure and healthcare. And of course, we are happy to say that this year we private initiatives. It's very important for us that private investors, these are local domestic investors, are coming with their ideas, and we this project and hope again by we will be happy to say that okay, we also have on the private initiatives. It's very important for us as we have to start this as soon as possible. Once again, try to do the best to master our best practice of PPP, taking changes in our legislation, and of course we try to help both domestic investors for the small projects or big finance to come here to Belarus to work with the clear rules. And we try this by accumulating the projects in one point where all the investors could see our needs and it will be easy for them to choose. So this is here about Belarus, and I hope, of course, that during this meeting we could share some experience, we could share some ideas, because again, where of the PPP mechanism it should be, but later, not now. Hope with your help, with your ideas, with your experience, we could make it better, quicker, and professional. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Igor, about the PPP projects and PPP development in Belarus. We are very excited to see new projects very soon in your lovely country. And so now I would like to handling the floor to Mr. Azat from Kazakhstan. If you let me give Mr. Azat. Yes, I think, yeah, now you're on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Exactly, we can hear you. If you want, you can open your cam, and if any problem, we will reclose it again.
Okay. Let me open my presentation. Just a sec. Is it possible to share the screen here?
I think yes. It's you can see a button at the bottom, an arrow. Did you see an arrow in the middle of the button?
Okay, yeah, I'm trying. I apologize for this one.
And then you will select the change screen on the options, the right one. Or if you can handle, let me give the floor to Mehman. If you
Okay.
So Mr. Razat, so you will find how you will share, and by the way, at that time we will be with the Mehman in order to use efficient time, and we are going to Azerbaijan. So Mehman Bey, are you available?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vural. Do you hear me clearly?
Yes, it's exactly. If you want, you can open your cam, because I think you don't have any problem and connection problem.
I hope that we will not have a problem. Otherwise, I will turn off my camera.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Vural. Thanks to the World Association of PPP professionals and PPP units, and their panel members and participants. On behalf of Azerbaijan PPP Development Center, as well as the SME Development Agency under Ministry of Economy, I express my sincere gratefulness for inviting us to this panel for discussion of the regional specificity for PPP environment, specifically in the CIS region. So I am the Deputy Chairman of the SME Development Agency. At the same time, I'm the focal point of the PPP Development Center in my country. Regarding to Azerbaijan, my country has been conducting a holistic reform package for ensuring favorable investment climate in our country. So multi-billion investments made annually on infrastructure, including economic and social infrastructure on the public investment program. So total gross inflow of foreign direct investments in our economy, it was more than 130 billion USD for the period of 1995 till 2018. Just the past 3 years, FDI into our economy, it was 5.7 billion USD. In fact, Azerbaijan infrastructure is relatively high quality in comparison to those upper middle income countries as a whole. So while significant majority of infrastructure projects in the past have been financed from our state budget, the government now is considering to attract specifically more private investment to this sector. And by attracting private investment, the government not only reduces the burden of the state budget, but also reduces the need for foreign debt financing, which is in line with the strategy, national strategy in reducing debt portfolio. Furthermore, there is currently a strong political will to develop a comprehensive PPP framework, which would act as a tool for private sector attraction to the infrastructure development. As we have been witnessing the COVID-19 pandemic, when the government also prepared the national strategy, specifically for the post-COVID period, and PPP was one of the top priority directions for post-pandemic economic recovery strategy action plan of governments. So I hope that we will have enough time. Just I'd like to stop here to go to the next perhaps speakers, and we will give more information about environment, PPP environment in Azerbaijan, as well as potential feasible PPP projects that might be interesting for other participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mehman Bey. Thank you for your presentation. I know there are very good opportunities in Azerbaijan, and we are really looking to see new projects in Azerbaijan. We will come back to you. And Mr. Azat, now I'm handing the floor to you. Are you available for the presentation, your presentation?
Are you seeing me?
Yes, we can. Great, we can see. Okay, so the floor is yours, and we would like to know the latest, the updated PPP development in Kazakhstan. I know there are huge PPP projects and opportunities in your country. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Eyup. Thank you, dear guests. Thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of the Kazakhstan's PPP Center. Once again, I apologize for this inconvenience. Our chairman of the board, Yerzhan SARSENBAY, he had to present, but lately he's meeting with the Ministry of National Economy on urgent issues, so I apologize for this one. Let me speak on behalf of Yerzhan SARSENBAY. So when it comes to PPP in Kazakhstan, the main organization in Kazakhstan that in charge of PPP mechanism itself is Kazakhstan Public-Private Partnership Center. As a main center in Kazakhstan, we do research on improvement of the PPP mechanism in Kazakhstan. We also make appraisal of large-scale projects and private finance initiatives. We also evaluate PPP projects on performance issues, and we provide PPP advisory services and capacity building for PPP professionals, meaning that we can train international and domestic professionals on PPP terms. And so far, currently, we've had 864 PPP contracts, and the number of the projects were rising until we hit the COVID-19 restrictions. For example, in 2019, we had 271 projects overall in 1 year, and in 2020, the last year, we had only 132 projects. due to the COVID restrictions. And the main sector here among these projects, it belongs to the educational industry. We have 480 projects in this sphere, and the second leading sector is healthcare. It consists of 170 projects, and housing and the communal services has 94 projects, and the sphere of culture and the sport has 70 projects now. And when it comes to PPP legal framework, we adopted our law, national law on PPP in 2015 on October 31st. And the main difference of the law on PPP from law of concession is that decision-making process on local PPP projects is decentralized, meaning that central governments and local authorities, they have their own decision-making process when it comes to large private finance initiatives and large PPP projects. And the second difference is liabilities of the projects are covered by national budgets and the local budgets separately. There is a criteria for determining the national and the local projects. The first off is we can determine whether the project is local or national, depending on the type of ownership to the property. And secondly, we can determine the project looking at the beneficiaries of the project. And the biggest challenge of the PPP projects was its compliance with the state programs and the strategic plans of the government, and the compliance with orders of the president and the government, and the compliance with local development programs. And since 2015 till now, we've handled all these issues very perfectly. So we only have PPP legal framework issues now. And in 2020, during the COVID-19 era, we had measures that taken to improve legislation. For example, we implemented the mechanism of return PPP when we amended certain state programs, specifically programs of each sphere. For example, we amended the sphere of education separately. We amended the sphere of culture and the sport independently. So we are now having standardized automated projects in each sphere without causing any problems to local development programs or local authorities or state programs or central government bodies or any PPP centers on the local level and on the national level. So it can be said that certain projects in educational industry and in culture and the sports sphere are implementing without the participation of government. And the second change is we changed the CAPEX reimbursement program, and we can now give certain installments in equally when it comes to CAPEX reimbursement on certain PPP projects. And we also prohibited the change in the terms of PPP contracts, entailing an increase in government obligations. And now, currently, we are planning to make changes to the law, specifically when it comes to qualification requirements. We do have now 20% of own and the borrowed funds requirement when it comes to implementation of a project. So we are now changing the requirement of having 20% of money before the project. And the second one is at the level of law, we're going to allow the possibility of postponement of the payment terms of the capex reimbursement. So I think I hear the sound. I think my time has ended, right?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Razat, for very good, very valuable, insight and information from Kazakhstan. Before starting the second part of our session, actually, I would like to summarize. We can see the importance of legal framework of PPP in our country. So it's really a pleasure. It's really glad to hear that in Azerbaijan, in Kazakhstan, and in Belarus, the PPP legal framework and the new PPP law amended, and they became very proper to attractive private finance and international investors. This is one of the most important maybe steps in our countries. And I will give the floor to Mehman, if allow me, for the second part. Actually, how we can collaborate in CIS region. I've been working in Kazakhstan, in Belarus, in Azerbaijan, so we can a lot of things to share each other, because we have the same problem, we have at the same stage. Maybe Turkey, we have a little bit forward on the PPP project, so we have some completed and solid projects. But it's really excited to see some healthcare project in Kazakhstan. I know there is a very big tender in a hospital tender, and but before it, I know, Mr. Menon, you have been working in global institutions and MDBs, so you know the global approach, and you can see the big picture, how we can share our knowledge, our experience in the CIS region. What do you think about this question?
Thank you very much, Mr. Vural. Also, I had some communication connection issue, because I was not clearly was able to get both speakers from Kyrgyzstan and Kazakhstan. But I hope that after completing this session, later on we will be provided with recordings of this discussion, that we can have more information. You're right, actually, I was leading CIS portfolio while I was working for Islamic Development Bank Group at the President's office. And in our case, I think the government-to-government partnership is also quite important. So I mean, the connectivity and also sharing the experience is essential. So thanks to this COVID-19 pandemic, we have these, all the technologies, online, Zooming, video conferencing, they made our life more easier to come together. But for my impression is that perhaps, it might be also interesting to visit, to make some, the country visits, and with, the interested partners, just to have a see what's going on there, and also sharing our projects, specifically our priority areas. And the most important, certainly, as our Kazakhstan, the representative was mentioned, is a legal and institutional framework quite essential. So we have to learn each other. In fact, we are not inventing the bicycle, and we are cooperating with IFIs, and it's more or less the same experience that we learn. The most important to get a success in the PPP is the government's will, political will, and the readiness and ownership, as well as the good prepared feasible PPP projects is essential. But some countries may be quite a way forward, and some countries might be just in the beginning of the stage. In our case, Azerbaijan, also we had, the law of BOT was enacted a few years before in 2016. But operationally, it was not easy to implement it. But nowadays, the government we are in the process of internal government discussion on the new PPP law, which will cover all type of the PPP that is possible to implement it. So in this case, for us, how to increase, partnership and connectivity in the CIS region. So in fact, this WAPP, the World Association of PPP Units and PPP Professional, is also platform. But also, Mr. Vural, you are also leading Istanbul Center of Excellence. And so you are making quite important impact for, before the COVID, we have been able at least once a year to come together, just sharing our projects and also learning from each other. So that's why this is such kind of this information sharing platform, experience sharing platform is quite important for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mehman. Thank you. I hope this year we will meet again in Istanbul. We are planning to make it if it's possible because of the COVID. So, and Mr. Igor, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here and I hear you.
Yeah, and the same question. What do you think about the knowledge sharing process, or how we can collaborate or cooperate in the region?
Of course, any kind of cooperation is really necessary, especially for us, for Belarus, because we are in PPP development. That's why your examples, your experience, and your idea, your expert thinking is really necessary for us. That's why, of course, with a great to join this sharing experience. And one more question I would like to raise that now we have not only classic PPP projects, but also we have several requests for PPP in information resources, such as for electronic systems that could share the student marks with parent certificate. So new requests truly said COVID made changes to everything, and especially it makes necessary to develop something new, and something new in PPP, as we see, it's the information and technology projects, which this is the basis, this is knowledge,
And yes, we cannot. Actually, I can see from the participant, I can see Mr. Nico, and from Ukraine, the director of PPP agency, and Yulia again from Ukraine. So our colleagues there. And what before I give the floor to Mr. Azat to Kazakhstan, actually I would like to remind something. Last week we had a meeting with Mr. Nico and Mr. Yulia with Ukraine, the representative of Minister of Health and the representative of Turkish ministry, and what we saw there. From government to government, as Mr. Mehman you mentioned, it's very important to sharing knowledge government to government. This is very clear. But actually, what I can say, what I can add in that point, the private sector experience is also very important to project preparation phase for the government. Actually, for the developing countries and for the countries who are at the first stage, I mean the preparation stage, I think they should get the private parties experience in terms of PPP. This is quite important issue, because sometimes the government can share the knowledge how they will prepare the project in a right way, but it can be a wrong approach from the private parties position. So I think for the first phase, I mean the preparation phase, it's quite important to get the private parties experience in terms of PPP projects. So Mr. Azat, I know we had a lot of delegation, a lot of program in Kazakhstan. We had many great collaboration. So what do you think for the next step of Kazakhstan after COVID? I mean, after the normalization of this mobilization of people. So what do you would like to add? What do you would like to say about the knowledge sharing? in the CIS region?
Dr. Eyup, thank you for the question. So I think any meaningful results can be achieved through only collaboration and the information sharing. And Mr. Mehman Abbas, he mentioned perfectly that we might have the best experience in terms of improving our legislation on PPP, and Azerbaijan might have some experience in terms of implementing certain projects. And I think it is crucially vital that we need to collaborate. We need to make big events in terms of knowledge sharing. And in terms of Kazakhstan's challenge, right now we're having a big issue. The issue is that some international investors, they are asking currency exchange costs as a financially and the government's guarantee on certain projects, and that's a big issue for Kazakhstan. For example, there were some projects and there were some investors from Turkey, I believe, from Israel and from Iran, and they were all asking to cover all currency exchange costs in terms of infrastructural projects, and our government couldn't guarantee that amount of money that goes to the investor at the end of the project. And in terms of covering the currency costs and some other costs, maybe Azerbaijan's experience, maybe your experience, maybe some other countries' experience might be valuable. And if there are some problems that some countries might be facing, we are very happy to share our best practices and best knowledge what we have now.
Yeah, thank you, Azad. As the head of CS region in WAPP, actually, we have the chance to work with different countries, and I can see the different phase of those countries, and they have different valuable assets that they can share each other. So this kind of platform, WAPP, this kind of platform is quite important to find the very proper places to share experiences, because the most important achievement for our PPP projects can be taken not from the papers or from the advisors, but from the people, real people who involved in the PPP projects. So I think the knowledge sharing in the region, actually, if we are talking about the CIS region, so we should make a more effective collaboration between us. Maybe after our annual meeting, we will continue, we will pursue our regional chapter meetings, and we will have the chance to share our experiences. So first of all, I would like to thank you for accepting and for being with us during our annual meeting. It's really a pleasure for us to have your country and for have your knowledge and the last PPP environment updated. So Mehman Bey, I know you are so busy in Azerbaijan, and there are a lot of PPP projects and opportunities and a long way. Good luck for you in your country, and we will be together after our annual meeting. And Mr. Azad, please send our regards, especially our presidents and our all head of chapters, to new chairman of PPP Center of Kazakhstan, Mr. Yerzhan Bey. And thank you very much for your placing him and sharing your information from your country. And Mr. Igor, also, we would like to thank you for accepting and for being with us here during our annual meeting. And I know we will keep in touch and we will share experience. So let's see what we will do together in our region and in our countries. PPP is not a big world, so this is a very good umbrella gathering the PPP professionals, and this is our unique address, global address. So thank you very much. And the last thanks goes to the WAPP, making an available this kind of platform, all of us, all of PPP experts and PPP funds. So it seems that we should talk, we should discuss more and more each other, and we have lots of things to learn each other. So thank you very much again. If you have last words, I can handling the floor to you, Mr. Mehman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Vural. Also, we had quite a short time and also some connection issues. This is quite important, bringing together the people who is dealing with the PPP stuff and learning from each other. Addition, what I just suggested earlier, I will say that perhaps using opportunity that IFI is representative also attending this WAPPP annual conference, is that perhaps might be also useful to consider preparation of some flagship projects in PPP that maybe in which country is doing in which sector the rights, the goods, and also what important is also that what is the potential impact of these PPP projects, not only for economy as well as for employment and human capital issues. So preparation of these flagship projects also might be helpful for the countries to learn from each other, that could be considered. Last but not the least, perhaps like your center, but I'm suggesting that might be center of excellence for sectoral PPP units. Maybe some countries is doing the right good PPP, excellent PPP projects in certain sectors. This is also very good to learn from each other. So once more, thank you very much for all of you. And also, I see that in a chat, the Christian Kingombe also provided some information about their private equity impact infrastructure fund. Might be interesting to get more information later on about this fund and also to discuss a possible cooperation partnership. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mehman Bey. And Mr. Igor, a few words to wrap up and closing the session.
Yes, again, we are glad to be a part of professionals. Thank you so much for your invitation. And of course, I hope that the following collaboration will open the gates for us for Belarus PPP projects. Thank you so much and hope to see you and hear you next time.
Thank you, Mr. Igor. And Mr. Azat, we are closing the session. The last words for you.
Thank you for this opportunity to speak on behalf of the Kazakhstan's PPP Center. In the meantime, I was texting the chairman of the board, and he's saying hi to everyone, and especially to the organizer of the event. He will later text and send official letters to almost everyone, and he's saying a big thank you for everyone.
Thank you very much. Thank you all for the participant and for the speakers as well. Hope to see you at the next time. Bye-bye.